Welcome, welcome. I want to thank you for hopping on to listen here with me. I want to talk to you about something that I think will be beneficial to you, and hopefully you'll see why before we get done talking. But I want to talk to you about is your mitochondrial health and what you can do to improve your mitochondrial health. So first, we're going to get back to basics. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Jessica Bueller, and I practice in South Dakota. And I am a doctor of chiropractic with additional certifications in an allergy elimination technique and also in acupuncture. And I am very passionate about helping people find and utilize tools to improve their health and their wealth. So we're going to get started by talking about your cells. We are, if you just think of your body very basically, I like to get to back to very basic, simple things. And we are but 3.7 trillion cells. That's what makes up a human body. And each cell has several hundred to more than 1,000 mitochondria per cell. There's a few cells that don't have mitochondria, but for the most part, that's what we're talking about. Mitochondria serve as powerhouses and policemen in our cells. So how does that work? They provide ATP or cellular energy. 95% of our cellular energy comes from these mitochondria. They control our DNA. They promote the development of healthy cells, and they also help us to get rid of unhealthy cells by weeding them out through a process called apoptosis. They burn fat and other substrates as well. So with mitochondria, we'll have more energy, control, and vitality over our own bodies. Mitochondria are the highest concentrations in muscles, especially the heart, skeletal muscle, and smooth muscle, along with the brain, spinal cord, and ovaries. And these are the areas where we need the most mitochondria because they have the most energy requirements within those cells. Mitochondria are also where reactive oxygen species, or ROS, also known as free radicals, are produced. Mitochondria are also highly susceptible to damage from ROS. Mitochondrial DNA have an oxidative damage rate that is 5 to 10 times higher than nuclear DNA because they lack protective proteins called histones. Mitochondrial DNA is not part of a genetic code, but it can induce genetic changes in the nucleus, creating genomic instability and leading to disease. So mitochondria is where we produce the energy. And as a byproduct of producing that energy, we create free radicals, we create ROS, we create cell damage. And these free radicals, they can bump into any part of our cell and cause damage to it. And the mitochondrial DNA is one of those. And really any part of the cell can be damaged by ROS. So damaged mitochondria, they don't burn fat and other substrates as well. They don't produce energy as efficiently. And they still produce ROS. They still produce cell damage. Which damages the mitochondrial DNA even further and makes them even they are even worse at doing their job as the powerhouse and the policeman. So mitochondrial damage can come genetically from our mothers. Sperm have little to no mitochondria, so predominantly from the mother if it's genetic. But lifestyle is such a huge component. It's even bigger than the genetic component. It is just a huge part that is often overlooked. Chronic stress, overcrowding, sleep apnea, aging. As we age, we know that we don't produce our own antioxidants to combat ROS like we once did. Drugs can damage our mitochondria as well, statins, antibiotics, and more. Environmental toxins in our air, our water, our foods, toxins we put on the exterior of our bodies, our shampoos, our facial cleansers, our body cleansers. There are just so many things that are toxic to our bodies that we don't even really think about that can create damage to these mitochondria. But what we want to do is find a way to activate our mitochondrial genesis, to support mitochondrial production in our cells, to produce more mitochondria, to produce healthier mitochondria, and to have more energy. And one way that we can do that is by utilizing a pathway in the body. And this pathway is called NRF1, nuclear erythroid-like factor 1. It's a transcription factor, a protein within all of our cells that is used to control gene expression. Literally, we can turn on or off our genes by utilizing these transcription factors. We then have our NRF1 pathway is specific to mitochondrial function, so how well those mitochondria are doing their job, and also mitochondrial biogenesis, how many we are reproducing, how many we are producing, along with how many we are weeding out. We're getting rid of those unhealthy ones and making more healthy ones, like a light switch, right? So one way that we can activate this NRF1 pathway, we can really utilize this pathway, is with a product called NRF1 Protandim. And NRF1 Protandim contains 5 components: alpha lipoic acid, CoQ10, grape extract, quercetin, and acetyl L-carnitine. These 5 all-natural products together activate, they switch on that gene, that NRF1 pathway. So we activate that NRF1 protein, it attaches to our DNA, and it causes an expression of certain gene. In this case, we have more mitochondria are produced, mitochondrial genesis, more mitochondria are repaired, the bad mitochondria are weeded out, and more ATP is produced. So this is a lot like if your body was a car. This is like giving it more engines, tuning up the old engine, and giving it more fuel. And there's a synergy to our 5 components. They're a very low dosed blend, and we have a patent on that blend. And the reason why is because you can't just go buy these 5 components and get the same benefits. It doesn't work like that. When we get them in just the right dose, we get a benefit that is exponentially better than if we took them independently, even independently at the same time. So what happens with this is we scavenge ROS, we get rid of those free radicals, we rejuvenate the mitochondria, we improve metabolism, improve the function of mitochondria. We really target the brain health, the heart health, the ovary health, the muscle health, the heart, skeletal, and smooth muscle tissues. We see improvements in sleep quality and recovery and performance of cells because they have more mitochondria. So this isn't a treatment. This isn't a cure. This is definitely not going to mitigate any symptom, condition, or disease. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to get back to the cells, get back to the mitochondria, get back to that basic level. And when we see that happening, then we'll see what happens in your life. That's when you'll see what that translates for you. But we're not trying to treat those end things. We're trying to get to the beginning. And that's where we can really make huge impacts on our health. So by really focusing on our mitochondrial health, by upregulating that NRF1 pathway, we see some big changes. Thanks for listening.